And we too absolutely reject and condemn all the violence taking place on Israel's streets. Now more than ever, it's the time for all Israelis, whether Arab or Jewish, to come together. And joining me now with insights into the internal unrest plaguing Israeli society is Dr. Kobi Michael, senior researcher at INSS. Welcome. So we've seen unprecedented violence within Israel. Are we on the brink of a civil war?
No, I don't think that we are there. With all the seriousness of these events, we have to remember that these events, which are barbaric, violent events, are run by small groups, mainly of youth, who are incited by very extremist and fundamental elements and groups in Israel, mainly the northern branch of the Islamic movement. They are inspired by Hamas. Once again, they are failing to the old traditional Palestinian fantasy that they are going to destroy the state of Israel or the Zionist project, Hamas from outside and they from inside. But I don't think that this is a civil war. I think that most of the Arab populace is really not happy from the situation. On the contrary, I think that most of the Arab leadership understands what might be the consequences and the ramifications of these events. And I think that they are trying to do, maybe not enough still, but they are trying to do some efforts in order to calm the situation. And on the other hand, I think that this was a sort of a waking call for the Israeli government and for the Israeli authorities, understanding that we cannot isolate the problems of the Arab sector with regard to violence and illegal weapons, and it will not remain only in the Arab sector. And we see that we don't need more than a trigger like the campaign now, the military campaign that we have with Hamas, in order to bring this illegal weapon and violence to the Israeli or to the Jewish neighborhoods.
And is this something is this something that we should have seen coming? That we should have expected?
I was asked just yesterday in another studio if I'm surprised, and I said that personally, I'm not surprised. I think that many people in Israel who are familiar with the context are not surprised. I mean, the idea that you can, in such a small country, isolate such a huge problem, which is related to violence, to crime, to illegal weapon, the idea that you can isolate it to a very specific sector, which is the Arabic sector, is something which is illogical. I mean, something which is disconnected from the reality. I mean, it was written on the wall that one day, and we see that the day has come. All of this violence, all of this weapon will be here.
And yet, where are the police? I mean, they seem to have been caught quite off guard by this violence.
That the police was not prepared, at least not to such a scale of events. I think that they are trying to improve their capacities now. But on the other hand, we have to remember that we have a very small police in Israel in comparison to or in ratio to the population, and in comparison to other Western countries. And the Israeli police is pretty occupied in East Jerusalem. We forgot what has happened in East Jerusalem just a week ago. Okay, the police is occupied in the West Bank, and the police is occupied with all the events which are related to the rockets which are launched by Hamas, and eventually, I mean, they are not prepared to deal with such events. Mainly in the moment that they didn't prepare themselves in advance. But I think that they are trying to do all the possible efforts in order to compensate now all the lacunas that has been discovered. And I believe that the Israeli government and the Israeli police will be now very tough and very determined in their mission, because it is really a very severe occasion, a very severe reality that we are facing right now. But
Great.
it is still not a civil war.
All right, Dr. Michael, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.